Before we get into this, let me just say that if you're coming to this channel to watch this tag with hopes of me saying how much I love spring and how fabulous it is, then you're at the wrong channel, because that is not going to come out of this girl's mouth. Number one, what do you like to do in the spring that you can't do at any other times of the year? Well, I dyed yarn with egg dye. It was a lot of fun. Originally, I had planned to make my boys Easter bunnies with this, and I can't even remember the year that I actually dyed this. I'll have to look it up, and I'll put it here. Needless to say, I did not make my boys Easter bunnies with this, and they're at the age now where they could care less about Easter bunnies, and probably even then, I was more trying to push my crafts upon them, which is fine, because that's what I'm supposed to do as a mom. So I'm probably going to knit me Easter bunnies from this. Susan Claudino, and I've talked about her, I don't know how many times on this channel. These little bunnies called the bonbons, and the bonbons are adorable. And that is what I envisioned this dye yarn to become, is bonbon bunnies. I got these from my local yarn store when it was still in business, and I only paid $4.50 for these. They're 220 yards. It's a fingering weight yarn. And it's not the softest yarn, but it's not bad. It's more of a workhorse yarn, but it really captured the dye quite well. So these are going to be bonbons. So number two asks what your favorite springtime flower is. And I can't really say that these are a favorite flower because it's a flowering tree, but I do love my tulip tree. And it has really grown over the years, because when I planted it, it was a little bit of nothing. And every year it gets these gorgeous flowers. But if we wanted to really get technical about what my favorite flower is, it would probably have to be this guy. These pop up everywhere in the spring here in Alabama. And this little patch is in a place where I've never seen them. So there's the big field that's behind my shed. And I'm guessing that a squirrel or bird planted these for me here. Springtime flower would definitely be wild honeysuckle, and usually these woods behind me are full of it. So when you walk in the spring out here, the smell is just amazing. Now, Alabama is also known to have areas that are covered in wisteria, which is another favorite of mine, but wisteria is kind of invasive and it will overtake an area in a heartbeat. Which brings us to the next question of what is your favorite thing about spring? And I really don't like spring. I mean, I love the trees and I love the smell of the ground after it rains, but I do not love the pollen. And as you can see, we live on a lot of land, and there's a lot of trees, especially pine trees, that pollinate. And when they pollinate, they cover everything in a blanket of yellow doom. It also can cause everything in your yard, including your front porch and all your patio furniture, to be covered in a yellow cloud of ew. This yellow cloud does not just disappear when you spray it off. No, it is industrial strength. When you spray it with a hose pipe, it just puddles up to a puddle of yellow doom. The fun thing is when you have to go somewhere in the spring and summer in Alabama and your car's covered in pollen and you start to drive and the pollen comes off of your car and you basically become a pollinating bumblebee driving down the road. I do appreciate the nature and the life that spring does bring with it though. So I guess that's something. The next question is, what is the weather like where you live in the spring? It's actually kind of nice. It goes from about, well, it really varies. Last week we had 25-degree lows, and then yesterday was 80 degrees. So it's a hot mess. but there's so much wildlife that comes with it. Great abundant rains in the spring, which is what we had the last couple of days. This is actually a seasonal pond. I've showed this pond before. Usually it is not this full at all, but to give you an idea of how much rain we've had, you've seen this in the past, and the water is barely over here. And now it's all the way over here. The only bad thing we have about living here in the spring is that because it is so warm and because the frequency of rainstorms that come, it does lead to a lot of tornadoes and severe weather. And that's another reason I don't like spring. So question 5 is, do you do a garden and when do you start it? We do have a garden. This is where it usually is, but we don't have anything planted right now. So this is our scarecrow, and this is our garden behind us. And he has a face and a hat. And he has on a shirt, and he has on pants. He is fabulous. We have to have a scarecrow because we have so many deer and crows that they will eat the garden. All the way from there up to here. We plant corn, we plant squash, zucchini, bell peppers, tomatoes, and sometimes beans. And then in the winter, we usually do turnips and radishes. And you can see there's a stream that we dug out that comes and wraps around the garden. And the reason we did that is because, number one, it won't wash away the garden. So this stream is coming from a pond that is right past that little building. And when it overflows, I mean, it seriously overflows. But this also helps when we plant tomatoes, because usually we plant the tomatoes on the very edge, so that way they can absorb some of that water when we get the good rains. Because by the end of summer, sometimes first of summer, we're already starting to go through a little bit of a drought. And this really helps our garden that we have. And you can see the peach tree or pear tree. I forgot which one this is. This is a peach tree. Or is it a plum? Anyways, it's already starting to bud and bloom. We have some muscadine, but this is my favorite. This is our huge blueberry bush. And it gives us so many blueberries every year. Now also on our property is a ton of wild blackberries. We always pick those. And usually we are back with the rest of the questions for the Spring Fling 2023 questionnaire. We had to cut the first segment short because the rains came. So here we are under the temporary porch of the yarn barn, and we're gonna complete the last questions. Number 6, do you celebrate Easter? Yes, we do celebrate Easter. Apparently Canadian geese are flying in. We're both raised in a Christian household, the husband and I, and we are raising our children in the same type of atmosphere. We did the Easter egg hunts with the church when the kids were young. We've always done Easter egg hunts here with the kids and with the grandparents when they were younger. Obviously now they don't really want to do Easter egg hunts because they're a teenager and a preteen. But we do celebrate Easter. We do try to do like a family meal together with the in-laws and sometimes my parents. And we do talk about the purpose for Easter and what it means to us in our faith. When they were younger, the boys, we used to do what we call resurrection gardens, but it's this cute little garden. You plant the grass seed, and by Easter, the grasses come up, and it's just to symbolize the resurrection story. We also used to do resurrection rolls, which they're a family favorite. And even if you're not religious, you may want to get down on the resurrection rolls because they are delicious. And they are Grand's biscuits with like this marshmallow that has been rolled around in this buttery, cinnamony coating, and you put it inside the biscuit and you bake them. And then as they bake, the marshmallow disintegrates to represent Christ leaving the cave. And then you eat it because you can still taste it and it still makes it good. The cinnamony marshmallow mixture, you know it's still there, but it's not visible. If you're watching this and if you found my channel through this link and you are not religious, that is okay. I'm not going to look at you any differently. I'm not going to treat you any differently. If you have questions about my faith, or you just want to have a conversation about faith, then feel free to contact me. I'm open to those types of conversations, as you know, as long as they remain respectful on both sides of the party, because I've had some situations where they were not respectful at all and I had to kind of end those conversations. But that is not something that I want to do in the chat. I don't think that that's a proper place to have that. Question number 7. Do you knit or crochet anything special for spring? Really? I can't say that I do. I know that there are people who actually will knit or crochet things in the season if they're going to sell them, but I don't sell any of my stuff. I don't do markets or anything like that. So there's really there's not a specific thing that I need to make in a large quantity to focus on a certain holiday. Do I make stuff that is relatable to spring in the springtime? Somewhat. For instance, my little squid guy here, I think is a great representation of spring colors. It was made in the spring. My rabbit doll, again, Easter themed, made in the spring. Were they made for spring? No. Were they made for Easter? Not really. The yarn I dyed that I showed earlier, you know, that was dyed with Easter egg dye. Was it made for Easter? I mean, it was made with the intention of making bunnies, but I can't really say it was made for the purpose of making Easter related thing, because realistically I knew the bunnies were not going to get made by Easter. So, I mean, it's kind of a me question. Question number 8. What is your favorite spring color? Well, I have several. I don't really have favorite colors. I like a lot of colors, but I do associate colors with certain seasons. More hues with certain seasons, not really colors. So I showed my tulip tree in the first part of this video, and those pinks and that purple, I think, are spring colors to me because I associate them with spring because my tulip tree blooms in the spring. I associate the color of fresh green grass, that lighter green, with spring because that's when it grows. I did get that Annie's hook and needle kit in the other day, and I'm gonna link that. There was the purple and the teal that came in with it, and I do associate these with spring as well. I think they're really gorgeous pastels and they work really well together. So I would definitely say they're very springish to me, but I don't have a favorite spring color. I do enjoy a pretty pastel yellow, like the yellow in those buttercups that I showed yesterday as well. Not the dark yellow, but that really almost whitish yellow. I think that would look really pretty paired with something like this, that springtime yellow. Question number 9, do I spring clean? Yes, I do. I spring and I fall clean every year. And it's a big process because we do kids consignment sales, and that's actually what I've been doing lately is prepping for these consignment sales. So there's a spring and there's a fall one, and I go through all the kids' stuff in the house, and I have to enter it in a system and I have to tag it, and then I drop it off the first or second week of March, and the church sorts it and puts it out kind of like a little shopping area, like a thrift store, and then they open it up to the public. The church actually keeps 30% of total profits, and then you get your 70% of your stuff sold as far as the money. And what the church does with that is they actually put it in to the local food bank, and they provide food and they provide clothes for local families when there's house fires or any kind of tornado damage, because, you know, as I talked about yesterday, in the spring in Alabama, tornadoes are a real thing. And tornadoes have come through this area several times over the years and taken out whole communities. And I like to be a part of that. And that's the way that I can be a part of that. And I can also still make a little bit of money to have for when we go on vacation or whatever else we may need. It is a lot of work to prep for these, and I probably carry it to extreme because that's just how I roll. But I do go through everything. And right now, question 10, do I go anywhere for spring break? Yes, we actually go to the Smoky Mountains. Wears Valley specifically is where we like to stay. It's just a beautiful rural area. And when we go, we always rent cabins up in the mountains. And we try to find some that have a really nice view, because the majority of the time that we're there, we're at the cabin. We do occasionally go to a couple of shops, but not many. And when we go, we always go with our in-laws. We've actually been with my parents once or twice, but for the majority of all the times that we've gone, it's been with my husband's parents. Because my mother-in-law, the lady I take care of, is actually from Austria. And the Smoky Mountains remind her of her home and of the Alps. And as she has gone through this journey of her disease, she really finds comfort in being there and seeing all the mountains. So we try to go when we can. And it's usually in the spring, and sometimes we try to go in the fall, but that's not always the case. But one of my favorite things about going to the Smoky Mountains, and I am not affiliated with them in any way, but is to go to the Smoky Mountain Spinnery. And if you have not been to the Smoky Mountain Spinnery, you are greatly missing out, because it is this amazing yarn store in Gatlinburg. Now, a couple of years ago when they had the big fire, they actually had to write off almost all their inventory because of smoke damage. But they have completely restocked the store. I've been several times since then. And if you're looking for a great yarn store to buy from, they're going to be it. They have everything. And they are the most friendliest people you can possibly ever meet. They do have knit nights on... There's a bunch of crows flying over. They do have knit nights on Tuesday nights. I have not ever gone to those. I really want to go to one of those. But where we stay usually when we go is in Wears Valley, which is about 15 to 20 minutes away from that store. And it involves going through these really curvy roads that are like cliffhangers through the mountains to get back to the cabin. I'm not gonna lie, I'm terrified that a bear is going to slide down and run me off the road. So I've never actually been to a knit night because they're at night. I keep saying that we're gonna rent a cabin in Gatlinburg one day so I can actually attend a knit night, but I just have this love for Wears Valley. And I would love to show you all this footage of our past vacations in Wears Valley and me sitting and knitting and showing off my projects there, but a lot of that got lost when my channel was taken down, which is sad. But this channel is actually on its almost 1 year anniversary. March the 31st is going to be its 1 year anniversary, which is mind-boggling to me that I've had this channel for almost a whole year. And I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you who have joined me on this journey and who I've got to meet and who've come and joined my community of yarny loving people. I cannot wait for what the road has for us. And for those who are watching this in the future, I'm so excited to have you here too. And I cannot wait to show you new and exciting things as the years and months progress. But until then, I can show you this.